G'day, chaps, 'tis I, Butcher139. And if you've been following along with the past selection of videos, you know that I've been doing classic replays of each mainline Arkham game, essentially experiencing them like I was playing them for the first time all over again. It was intended as a way for me to gather new footage, since I've been using the same background videos for the past 5 years, and more importantly though, give me new perspective on some of my favorite games that I hadn't experienced in a long time. I've been on the content grind for a while, so I haven't actually decided to just stop and play a game for a long time. And if you watched my Arkham Knight video from last month, you were probably expecting me to talk about Arkham Shadow next. I mean, duh, I literally said I was going to at the end of the last video. But then, while scrolling through the Steam Summer Sale for no reason other than browsing interest, I saw something beautiful catch my eye. A game on sale for a mere $2. That, despite my alleged knowledge and completion of the series, I had yet to actually play for myself. And if the poll is anything to go by, I can almost guarantee nearly 90% of you are exactly the same way. Because, honestly, who actually remembers Batman Arkham VR?
You see that, kid? That's what happens when you're trying to be a hero.
This is one of the most forgettable milestones across this entire series, and honestly for pretty good reason. It came out just barely a year after Arkham Knight and took the world by... I mean, is there an opposite phrase for taking the world by storm? Because that's what this game did. It showed up, promptly got less downloads than Suicide Squad, and to this day, at least 200 times as many people have watched the Batman Arkham videos walkthrough than actually donned a headset to play this game. It's kinda depressing that this is one of the most forgettable games of all time, despite technically being a bit of a trendsetter. If you can believe it or not, this was one of the first major AAA VR games ever made. Really take a second and think back to 2016. Can you honestly recall any major VR games around, or especially before that point, that left some kind of impact on you or the wider gaming sphere? Around this time, the best that you were getting was Job Simulator, Arizona Sunshine, and Super Hot. Great games, don't get me wrong, but that's literally it. Virtual reality was still in its infancy, and we were still years away from the big hits that everyone associates with VR like Beat Saber, Half-Life Alyx, and especially Arkham Shadow. Virtual reality was at its jumping off point when Batman Arkham VR decided to release, which more than anything just shows the absolute balls of Rocksteady at the time. Here they are, only a year after their biggest game ever, an explosive finale to a massive trilogy of games beloved worldwide, and out of nowhere they decide to make a prequel to that finale, shove it in PlayStation exclusive VR, and include none of the gameplay that their player base has come to know and love them for. I don't know who approved it, but by God, they must have been smoking some damn strong stuff to come up with an idea like that. Which brings us to today. Here I am, 10 years later, having never even touched it, despite the nature of my channel. And yet, by the looks of it, nothing of value was overlooked. Because unfortunately for Batman Arkham VR, its legacy in the wider Arkham sphere is that it literally has no legacy. This is a game that genuinely did nothing. I 100% completed this game for the first time and without any guides in a little over 3 hours. Even for a VR title, that is pitiful. I spent twice as long just getting the damn thing to work on my headset, because fuck Meta and their incompatibility with other devices. By God, why must everything be so complicated? It's the starting proof, on top of everything else that I'll be talking about later, that this experience was little more than a tech demo. Contrary to what the admittedly incredible suit-up sequence may hint towards you, This is not a Batman game. It is a glorified Batman cutscene with very minor Batman puzzle elements. The whole experience is just fading in and out from scene to scene, solving a puzzle or two, and moving on to the next. You're stuck just kinda sitting there as people talk in your general direction about whatever the next major plot beat is going to be, or teleporting around the room like the friggin' Flash, solving some of the most basic VR puzzles you could ask for. Puzzles that could very easily translate out of VR and have absolutely nothing change about them, generally boiling down to picking up an item and placing it somewhere else, or pushing a button with your hands, or, get this, in rare cases, hitting a faraway button with a batarang. Real innovative stuff there, folks. Can only imagine how much more you're gonna have for us. Oh, the game's over already. Okay.
They're dead bats, and it's all your fault.
Arkham VR comes and goes in a flash, with the main story taking less than an hour to beat unless you're intentionally goofing off with whatever tiny secrets you can find around the maps. And most of that hour-long runtime is dedicated to cutscenes rather than actual gameplay. Speedruns of this thing are barely over 20 minutes, and most of it is just standing there waiting for people to shut up because you can't skip dialogue in this game. Watch this. I will walk you through everything that you personally need to do to beat Batman Arkham VR. You ready? Let's speedrun this thing. Watch Bruce's parents get murdered in first person. Stand in silence as Alfred scolds you.
One's own bed would make for more comfortable sleeping arrangements than a piano.
Take the key from Alfred, put the key in the piano, turn the key, lift the piano cover, play random notes on the piano, wait for the elevator. Take the bat symbol and put it on your chest, grab the gauntlet handles, grab the cowl and put it on your head, look around for a few seconds or just dance.
Please begin cowl calibration routine. Calibrating. Calibration complete.
Press the button on the mirror, grab the grapnel gun, shoot the grapnel gun, put the gun on your belt, grab the analyzer, scan something with the analyzer, put the analyzer on your belt, grab the batarang, throw the batarang at a target, throw 3 batarangs at 3 moving targets, wait for the elevator to go down to the Batcave. Press A to talk to Alfred. Wait for him to talk to you.
I'm afraid I have rather concerning news.
Grapple over to the Batcomputer. Activate the Batcomputer. Wait for the Batcomputer to turn on. Select Nightwing. Activate his tracker. Wait for the tracker to track.
Searching. Nightwing location identified.
Select Robin. Activate his tracker. Wait for the tracker to fail to track.
Searching. Location tracker not detected.
Go back to the main Batcave. Listen to Alfred be worried.
If Master Grayson's in trouble, every second may count.
Go to the garage. Select either the Batmobile or Batwing. Hit the switch to get ready for deployment. Press A to climb in and progress. Wait in a black screen while listening to boosting sounds.
Godspeed, Master Bruce.
Climb down a bit of scaffolding by pressing A 2 times. Wait for Batman to grieve his son dying.
Why wasn't I here? Why didn't I stop it?
Scan Nightwing's corpse with the analyzer. Wait for Batman to make sense of the situation.
Cause of death, cervical fracture. They broke your neck.
Tilt the analyzer to the right and click the button whenever you hear bones crack. Listen to Batman talk through his process of solving the crime.
I know you, Dick. You'd never back down from a fight.
Press A to move over to this spot. Tilt the analyzer to the left until you see this figure press his hand against the wall. Click the switch. Listen to Batman walk about the clues and apologize to Dick.
I need to pay Penguin a visit.
Grapple up to the Batwing. listen to the only conversation where Bruce and Alfred actually talk to one another. More on that later.
Sir, are you all right? Perhaps you should take a moment.
No time. I'll grieve when I know Robin's safe.
Switch vantage points by pressing A. Wait for Penguin to put the fire extinguisher down. Hit the fire extinguisher with a batarang. Stand in silence as Penguin gives up all the information without Batman needing to say a word.
Well, I bloody did that to it! Look, this is all I know. I swear.
Turn around. Stare at the three guys until the lock-on is complete. Watch as the Batwing takes them out. Slowly. Wait for the Batwing to get into an appropriate position for some reason to grapple up again.
Bloody idiot! Wake up, you idiot!
Wait on another black screen as Alfred explains the plot to you again.
If his disappearance is related to Master Grayson's murder, there must be a clue in that morgue.
Look at one of the clipboards. Listen to Batman explain the plot again, just in case you forgot about it from 30 seconds ago.
The coroner identified a piece of shrapnel in one of the bodies. Looks like a fragment of the bomb's detonator.
Use the analyzer to scan the first corpse until you find the yellow shrapnel. Wait for Batman to explain the same puzzle as the perfect crime from Arkham Knight.
There could be shrapnel anywhere in the bodies. I can analyze both the bone and muscle layers by switching modes on the forensic scanner.
Double tap the button to swap to a deeper tissue scan and find the second piece. Repeat the previous two steps for the upright body in the corner. Scan the safe with the analyzer. Miraculously figure out that the combo is 425 despite no indication on the order to press the buttons. Open the safe. Grab the key inside. Use the key to unlock the final corpse and repeat the analysis steps from the previous two bodies. Wait as Batman activates the augmented reality Batcomputer module he just has in the field for some reason.
Generating reconstruction.
Assemble the 6 pieces of the detonator. Wait and listen to Batman explain its significance.
They're demolishing an old sewer system beneath Founders Island. The sewer could be the killer's hideout.
Grapple up to the Batwing. Listen to Alfred scold his son on a black screen again.
Sir, that sewer system has been ostensibly abandoned for some time. Whoever trapped Robin may well have made preparations for you.
Press A a bunch of times to enter the sewers. Use a batarang to open this box. Use the grapnel gun to pull this switch. Repeat pressing A until you reach the main holding cell. Grapple over to Robin. Pull the cover off the panel. Pull the dead fuse out of the box. Wait for Robin to notice that he needs to participate in this puzzle as well.
You hear that? You need to hurry.
Take the live fuse from Robin. Arrange the 3 fuses according to the red drawings in Robin's cell. Press the button to electrocute yourself. Wait for Robin to be annoyed and for Killer Croc to do his required Arkham game jump scare. I swear, it's always in his contract. Press the button again to electrocute Croc. Use a batarang to open the 3 boxes around the arena. Use the grapnel gun to pull the gears towards you and hand them off to Robin as he slowly puts them into the gearbox. Electrocute Croc again. Give the final gear to Robin. Flip the switch to lift Robin's cage. Wait for him to climb on top of the cage, fiddle with some stuff, then get his head eaten by Croc. Wait for the elevator to go all the way down to intensive treatment while listening to an alarm clock. Press A repeatedly to walk through Arkham. Press the button behind the desk to open the way forward. Move forward. Throw a batarang at the switch behind the gate. Move up to the doors. Open 423 to see Scarface. Move to another door. Open 424 to see Zaz. Move to the third door. Open 425 to see Joker. Lean in close to him so the room around you has time to change. Begin spinning around in circles for the next 3 minutes, and congratulations! In less than 100 actions and about 15 minutes of waiting, you have beaten the entire main story of Batman Arkham VR. What an underwhelming experience.
Rockabye, Batsy, I'm getting free. Soon you will be trapped inside me. No need to be scared, you've nothing to fear. Soon Bats will be gone and I will be here.
Yeah, that's the entire game summarized in less than 10 minutes. And remember that they sold this thing for $20 friggin' at launch. If I'm paying $20 for a game, I expect it to be more than 20 minutes of cutscenes and a mere 3 minutes of gameplay. But that really makes sense when you consider the act and chapter structure of Arkham VR. For some reason, this game is split up into 3 acts, each with 3 chapters. But in reality, there should only be 3 chapters actually counted, because the other 6 are so devoid of gameplay it's genuinely sad. Chapter 1 is just a flashback to the Wayne's murder. You literally just stand there and watch Joe Till do his thing for 2 minutes, wondering why Bruce doesn't say a single word. Again, we'll get into that later. Chapter 2 is inside Wayne Manor, and while you can technically explore around a little bit, it's just random little interactables that add incredibly inconsequential lore to Arkham Knight that we honestly could have just assumed on our own. All you need to do to progress is play the piano. You literally listen to Alfred talk for longer than you actually play the game. That little section on its own is a whole dedicated chapter. And then the suit-up sequence is also a dedicated chapter. Again, all you're doing is suiting up, but the game considers this moment grand enough to give it an entire chapter on the select screen. Then the Batcave is considered its own chapter, even though it's really more of a hub area than anything else. And again, all you do is talk to Alfred and activate the 2 Robin's trackers before leaving. The first section that actually could be considered its own chapter is the Nightwing investigation, because that one actually has a sizable amount of gameplay that you need to interact with for a decent amount of time. But immediately after it's done, Chapter 6 comes along and is literally just listening to Penguin talk for 3 minutes. You don't even get to punch him or hear Batman say a single line of dialogue while interrogating him. Cobblepot really gave up everything without Bats needing to say a single word. Chapter 7 is the next actual chapter worth counting, since it's a big crime scene investigation, again with lots of gameplay. Chapter 8 following is the same, with another long puzzle section that actually uses the gameplay to, be gameplay. But then Chapter 9 right after is just one long cutscene again until we see the credits. So most of this game isn't even a game to begin with. Most of my playthrough, and even the Arkham videos playthrough from when the game first came out, was dedicated to just messing around in the environments, rather than actually progressing the story, because there was literally nothing else to do. But to be at least a little bit fair, those secrets hidden around the levels are kinda cool. Arkham VR has, without question, the best Batcave in the series, just because of how much stuff you can do around it. None of it impacts your progress in the story, but man is it fun to just mess around. You got the lab with the blood samples, the radio that you can tune to different frequencies, the giant bat signal you can move around for no reason, the garage with all the cars you can look through, the memories of the asylum and city, the bat computer with the character bios, the target practice minigame. It's all just so perfect. Just imagine if we had this level of detail in Arkham Shadow. That game would be even more perfect. Unfortunately, that is the only level that has worthwhile exploration in this game. All the others are simply way too small for you to actually find anything interesting. Like, the manor has this giant turntable of Arkham Knight's Gotham with these buildings, for some reason not in their proper place, which, as Riddler puts it, is just a block placement game for little kids. The square goes in the square hole. You can open Cash's locker in Arkham, but you don't even get a trophy for doing it. I guess you've got that evidence locker and the little body puzzle in the morgue, but like, what's the point of all of it? It's just lore drops. And then the suit up, Nightwing investigation, Penguin interrogation, and Robin rescue all have absolutely nothing for you to interact with aside from the plot. So especially on repeat visits, it just feels so pointless. Well, not entirely pointless. There is one thing that you unlock after beating the main story that makes revisits actually worthwhile. It's the one place where the gameplay comes back, and quite strong actually, the post-game Riddler missions. There are 30 riddles hidden throughout the game for you to find, and it really feels like these riddles actually understood the assignment of being a VR puzzle because they were honestly really fun to collect. Each chapter after the prologue has 3 riddles, except for the Batcave, which wanted to be special, with 9. And each of them has some kind of puzzle, or at least forced exploration for you to collect it. They'll be hidden away in drawers, require a little gadget challenge, or be a literal riddle that you need to solve with the evidence scanner. No matter how you put it, they're fun to find, because you're actually encouraged to scour around the environments for hidden trinkets and fun goodies, and oftentimes do weird things with the random pieces of the level that they let you interact with. I honestly had more fun looking around for these and the random destructibles the post-game just decided to have for some reason than I did playing the main game. So, I don't know, make of that whatever you will. The riddles in particular actually force me to think, since this is the one game where you can't just look on a map to figure out where the collectibles are for free. You need to actually read the riddle and figure out what it means, which I found pretty fun. Especially for the ones in the Batcave. They really had fun with the placements of some of those. Unfortunately, the only way to actually replay any of these riddles is to completely delete your save file to start from scratch. No multiple save slots for this game, you gotta go into the game files and delete everything. How fun!
This isn't fair! It's not right! It was supposed to be different. Now I know the truth.
Arkham VR's forgettable nature doesn't just stop at gameplay though, not by a mile. This game genuinely has a less impactful story on the overall Arkham saga than Suicide Squad. Man, twice in one video, huh? At least Suicide Squad had the decency to technically be a story before undoing everything in the DLC. It was lazy, but things still technically happened. Arkham VR is straight up the worst kind of story you can put into any piece of media. It was all just a dream. Yep, a lot of shocking stuff happens that you couldn't imagine ever being true about a Batman story, and then it's all revealed to have just been a bad dream from Bruce before Arkham Knight. In other words, absolutely nothing matters because it wasn't real. Which pretty much means that the last entry that we had in the Arkham series for nearly 10 years wasn't the gigantic finale of Arkham Knight, but instead the dream that Bruce had the night before, which was really only put together to try and better explain the awful plotline of Joker's blood and has no major impact on the overall story of the rest of the saga. Yeah, it makes sense why people skip over its existence when talking about how long it's been since we got an Arkham game.
My only regret is I didn't do more.
And I've just gotta say, they put so little effort into the presentation of this game. The graphics are phenomenal, I won't deny them that. Again, it doesn't exactly show it in the recording, but when you're in the headset, it genuinely looks like you've been dropped straight into Arkham Knight. The close-ups you can get on some of these character models is crazy, and shows just how much detail they were able to put in that you might not have ever seen otherwise. Hell, just look at the details on Bruce's hands, how bruised and scarred they are from all the fighting. Bro is going through it. Unfortunately, that does not carry over to the voice cast. They only got 4 returning cast members to reprise their roles, and the ones that they got hardly even have any speaking lines to begin with. I mean, obviously they got Kevin and Mark to come back as Batman and Joker, but it honestly barely even feels like they did it.
Jackie Flynn, the witness, target of the assassination.
Batman only has like 5 minutes of speaking lines across the whole thing, and Joker probably has like 4.
Well, here we are, together again.
It sounds like they could only get the pair to record for a single afternoon and milked as many lines out of that tiny recording window as they could.
Haven't you realized we're inseparable? I've got something for you.
Then there's Killer Croc, once again played by Steve Blum, but I honestly can't tell if they actually had him record anything or just used archival audio. And honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards archival audio because it is just generic screeches and grunts. And then the character with the most speaking lines across the whole game, and final returning cast member, ends up being the goddamn Riddler.
My hope was you'd attempt to lean over the railing and fall to your death. Alas.
Once again played to perfection by Wally Wingert.
When I said I'd defeat you with ingenious scavenger hunts, they thought me mad. Mad!
He has more screen time than every other character in Arkham VR combined. And I can't tell if that's impressive or just sad.
At least poor Robin won't live long enough for the leg to trouble him. Oh, I'm sorry. Spoilers!
Everyone else was either recast or clearly used archival audio. Yes, Troy Baker is technically playing Jason Todd here, but it's the exact same voice lines as in Arkham Knight. He wasn't actually in the recording booth for any of this game. They just reused the exact same scene that they had in the previous game. Sure, the Harley Quinn character bio is using Tara Strong's voice, but it's just a laugh. Clearly not worth her coming in to record. I'm sure they've got 100 of those just waiting in the archives that they just threw in here. They couldn't get Martin Jarvis back as Alfred, instead casting him as Hugh Frazier.
Sir, if you'd please venture downstairs, there's a matter I must bring to your attention. And now might be a good time to check the piano's in tune.
Matt Mercer didn't come back as Robin, so we have Tom Austin instead.
Some kind of Joker copycat, maybe?
Nightwing doesn't even talk at all, so no Scott Porter. And by far the most obvious one is Nolan North not coming back for Penguin. So instead, he's played by Ian Redford.
You gonna ask some questions before you start with the bleeding scare tactics?
The new cast does fine in a vacuum, but it's so obvious that it's not the cast we knew from Arkham Knight that it all feels so jarring. Like, I wouldn't have a problem with any of these roles if it wasn't coming off of some of their best performances in Arkham Knight just a year prior. The new actors all do great, and I could absolutely see them as these characters in anything other than the Arkham saga. Those characters, especially Alfred and Penguin, just have such iconic voices that even having them just a little bit off is so clearly wrong.
Well, it's just a bloody tragedy, really.
And it's especially bad when it sounds like they're always just talking to dead air, because the main characters, Batman and Joker, have absolutely nothing to say to them in response.
It looks like some kind of gearbox, but I'm missing some cogs. Let's find them.
It feels so friggin' lazy. I hate doing this, but really compare it to Arkham Shadow. In that game, Batman is always thinking to himself, talking through his progress with Alfred, grunting or panting while exerting himself when in combat, or is at least responding to conversation as it is presented to him.
Master Bruce, do you understand why they rebel?
They're convicts, not men of conviction.
Who felt treated unfairly by society.
They made their choices, and those choices led straight to me.
Batman in Arkham VR is just so silent it feels unnerving. Like I said, there is only a single line of dialogue that he actually speaks to someone rather than being an internal monologue. And it's on a black loading screen where we can't even see who he's talking to. It just feels so weird. I know you're supposed to be Batman in this game, but until they develop adequate microphone technology for video game characters to respond to what you, the player, are saying, I can't be Batman if Batman is silent. And it's not like they wanted you to have Kevin's monologue all in your head, because they still got him to record voice lines that are played in the game. It leads to a feeling of watching the story play out around you with little impact on it yourself, as opposed to actually being immersed as part of the story itself. Which, is kinda the whole reason this thing was made as a VR game to begin with.
I'm sorry, Dick. I should have been here.
Dialing it back and being a little sincere for a moment, there is one thing that this game did do absolutely phenomenally that I honestly can't compare to any other Arkham game, even Arkham Shadow, and that's the final psychological break inside of Joker's cell. Arkham VR took the Arkham Knight staple of changing things around you while you aren't looking at them and turned it up to 15 for this final sequence. Watching the tiny room change so drastically with each turn of your head, something new appearing, and the voices just getting louder and louder every second, it's genuinely terrifying stuff. Hearing that same dialogue you heard all game taking on new meaning as the realization of what happens begins to dawn on you. Going so far as to condense the room to a solid, minuscule cinder block so you're forced to turn and face the truth. And even literally change the hand models you've been rocking all game into these blood-covered bare mitts, before changing the very face you've been wearing in the mirror for the final reveal. It is astounding stuff. One of the most tense sequences I've experienced in a non-horror game, very akin to the final battle with Joker in Arkham Knight, where it feels like it keeps building up to a jump scare, only for the jump scare to be your own reveal.
Oh, the dynamic duo, together at last.
It's a sequence I wish they could have emulated in some way for the Crane encounter in Arkham Shadow, because it is genuinely one of the most brilliant uses of VR I've seen, and straight up, the only point where it feels like this game earns its VR medium. But aside from this scene, I can't think of a single reason worth playing the absolutely whelming experience that is Batman Arkham VR.
I've had a think. We're gonna have to let you go.
To kind of wrap this whole thing up, I've just gotta wonder where we'd be without Arkham VR. Because I did start this video talking about how it basically has no legacy, but is that entirely true? Did Arkham VR truly add nothing to the Arkham saga? Would we be exactly as we are without it? Or possibly even better off? Or worse? The only thing that this game contributes to the overall story of the Arkham saga is better explaining the Joker infection from Arkham Knight. It has no impact on the prequel era, nothing from Arkham Asylum or City, and almost nothing to the rest of Arkham Knight. Remember, the Joker infection is technically a subplot in Arkham Knight, with the Knight himself, the militia, and Scarecrow taking most of the spotlight. So all this mini-story really does is give more reasoning behind a subplot that only gets about a quarter of the screen time of this massive game. A subplot that, honestly, didn't really need all that much explaining. They left enough breadcrumbs in base Arkham Knight to explain the infection, to the point where I made an entire essay on it without even acknowledging Arkham VR, because at that point I'd only watched the Batman Arkham videos playthrough once or twice and never really cared to look deeper into it. So all it's really doing is going more in depth on Batman's fears, which, like, why couldn't we have just done this back in Arkham Knight itself? Like, most of these sequences are pretty good on their own, and if they had lumped it all together into a large DLC pack, kinda like Matter of Family, and kept it in the Arkham Knight engine, I would have been perfectly happy with it. Because again, the gameplay doesn't do anything with the VR medium. There's nothing special in this game that couldn't also be done in a regular Arkham game, aside from maybe the building puzzles and, I guess, the fuse puzzle. It relies solely on the fact that you're stepping into the Batsuit to make up for the fact that it's a really boring VR game. You scan stuff with Scanner. You hit far away stuff with Batarang. You grab stuff far away with Batclaw. You grab things up close with hands. That's game. And so many other VR games have come and gone with the exact same mechanics while also being far more engaging than Arkham VR. Job Simulator, for example, is literally just picking up and throwing around random items to solve puzzles. And it's a far more engaging experience than Arkham VR because of the comedy behind the scenarios and some of the creativity that you can employ to solve the puzzle. I Expect You to Die made entire levels designed around puzzles where you can't move from your location, and gave you literal telekinesis to reach and hit faraway things. FNAF Help Wanted did the same thing that Arkham VR did, put you in a VR version of a familiar non-VR game, but translated its gameplay so much more effectively, and so became one of the most beloved entries in the series because of how scary but also fun it was. Arkham VR can't compete with any of these titles because it took the most basic of VR mechanics and just threw a Batman costume on top of it to call it a day. Removing it from the wider VR sphere wouldn't impact a damn thing.
I'm starting to realize the line between distracting you with rewards and incentivizing my own defeat was a subtle one.
And one possibility stands out to me as being nearly certain. We likely wouldn't have been as rough on Arkham Shadow if we didn't already have a failed VR game to look back on with disgust. When Arkham Shadow was announced, everyone assumed it was going to be a rehash of Arkham VR. Another tech demo that had no right to exist, when everyone just wanted another honest-to-goodness Arkham game. Some of that distaste would absolutely still be there. What with the failure of Suicide Squad just a month before its announcement, and, being a VR MetaQuest exclusive game instead of something that everybody could play, yeah, people would still be mad, but I have a feeling that it wouldn't be as severe. We wouldn't have any assumptions of what a VR Arkham game could be. And with how far VR technology had come at that point, with games like Beat Saber, Half-Life Alyx, and Iron Man VR existing by now, our standards and expectations likely would have been a lot higher. Maybe even to the point where people were excited by that teaser. Though that also does kind of leave you wondering, would we have even gotten an Arkham Shadow without this game setting the precedent of VR Batman? Did we need Arkham VR to fail so that someone who actually cared would come along and show people how it's really done? Bit of a thinker, I'll give you that, and I honestly don't know which way I lean. All I can say is, I'm personally of the belief that Batman Arkham VR was a perfectly fine experience for a tech demo. showing off, at the time, emerging technology with a popular IP that a lot of people would no doubt love to experience. It is not in any way fine, however, for a full game worthy of a big purchase. For $20, you can get so much more on basically every VR store, it's not even funny. Only bother buying this game if you can find it on sale, which, to be fair, is not that hard because this game goes on sale for like 90% of the year. VR has come a long way since 2016, and there are so many better experiences that you could spend your money on. There are games more than double the length of Arkham VR that you could get for a quarter of the price and gain endless replayability from. Arkham VR is needlessly expensive, has no replayability after you get 100%, and isn't even that good of a story to warrant coming back to like the rest of the Arkham saga. Unless there's a tiny secret that I missed and need to get footage of, I don't think I'll be going back to this game for a long, long time. It can collect dust in my storage drive, and I will not pay it any mind. I'll just go play Arkham Shadow if I'm in the mood for a VR Batman experience. So with all that in mind, do all of the YouTube stuff, because yes, now it's finally time to go to Arkham Shadow for real this time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later, chaps.